So have you ever considered about recruiting in the USA? So I'm obviously a UK recruiter, but what's been apparent to me is it's easier to run a recruitment agency in the USA. Easier as in it's easier to win clients and it's also higher fees. So I'm going to give you some numbers right now. And the population in the USA, according to Google, it's probably a bit higher. It's 330 million. In the UK, it's about 60 to 80 million, depending on what statistics you look at. Now, the market for recruitment agency spend, or the labour market, in the USA is 32 billion, and in the UK, it's 18 billion. So it's less. There's less money being spent on agencies in the UK and more in the USA. Also, this is the shocking part. There are 12,500 agencies in the US and 27,000 recruitment agencies. This is not including self-employed recruiters or freelance recruiters. This is registered businesses. So there's half as much agencies in the USA. So why am I bringing up this point? Why am I addressing it? There's more money floating around. There's less saturation, in fact, in the USA. So what does this mean for anyone wanting to recruit in the USA? It's going to be a lot easier. So I've seen a trend recently. A lot of my friends, I know about two people that run agencies, they started to recruit in the US. I know a lot more, but I don't know them personally, that have moved into recruiting for the US because the UK market is saturated, especially sectors like tech, some construction, a lot of engineering, sometimes healthcare as well. Healthcare is pretty good, social care is pretty good in the UK still, but it's very saturated. And what happens with saturation is the fees get lowered. So everyone starts to compete. There's too much demand. There's not enough supply on the client side. They don't really need agencies as much as they used to maybe 10 years ago, where the fees were 30%. And I've heard stories of any experienced recruiter would tell you with 20 years experience, they used to turn down clients because they didn't like them. So I've had people say they didn't like their attitude or they just didn't want to work with them. And they used to say, 30%, they used to get inbound calls. And they used to say, we charge 30%, we're not interested. I'm not really, I'm too tired today. Yeah, that's how it was before. Now it's like, it's sort of moved away from well outbound and, it's a very outbound business. So the point I'm trying to make is there's more money, less saturation in the USA. And I'm all about catching trends, going where the money is, or easier. So what would it be like to start an agency in the US? Now, as far as I'm concerned, research-wise, recruiting in the USA from abroad, you don't need a license. In the US, I think state dependent, you need a license. I don't know what it's called, but it's an employment agency license or something along those lines. If you're recruiting from the UK, I don't think you need that. Obviously, seek legal advice on that. But as far as I'm concerned, the US law doesn't apply to us. There might be, even regarding tax, I don't think there's anything. It's the same as selling a product in the US. I don't know if we actually, all we have to give is an IBAN number, SWIFT number, and then they can pay us directly into the bank account. I've done some recruitment in the US and that's how it worked. In terms of everything else, talk to an accountant, talk to a lawyer in terms of setting up. Now, it's the same thing. All the methods work even better. Now, here's the part that interests me the most. If that doesn't interest you and you think, okay, great, it sounds, easier to recruit there. Here's the best part. And I say this with my heart, wholeheartedly. I love my brothers and sisters in the USA. They are not good recruiters compared to the recruiters in the UK. We are under pressure more. We have to move quickly. And when I say not better, exceptions, obviously there are better recruiters in the USA, way more than me even. But the thing is, they're very slow. They move slower. They're not as aggressive. They're not as hungry because in order to survive, we have to do a lot more work. We have to push a lot more. So does it make sense to go into the US market, start to recruit over there if you're based in the UK? Now, where this other also works very well is anyone starting part-time working a 9 to 5, the time zones are different. So they could be 4, 5, 6, 7 hours behind. So you could potentially work in the evenings and you can even reach candidates and cold call. Another benefit is on LinkedIn, 1 in 6 people in the UK are active. 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 in certain sectors are more active. So reaching candidates on LinkedIn is even easier. There's no I can't see any negatives apart from we don't want to work with an overseas company to not recruiting in the USA. I may even put together a little trial, send 10,000 emails and see how they respond as a case study. I think that would be very interesting for all of us to look at. Now, I'm not stupid. A quarter of my audience is based in the USA. So I know for a fact, and I'd love to hear everyone's opinion on it, what is it like recruiting in the USA? Could it be that it's harder to win clients over there because there isn't so much of a demand? Technology-wise, they're lightly years ahead of the UK. I mean, people are still still recruiting in 1996 methods. In the USA, it's CRMs, ATS systems, a lot of software comes. All my software I use is from the US. My CRM is from the US because they're light years ahead of us. We're so behind with recruitment. We're old-fashioned. It's a bit embarrassing, actually. So, without rambling on too much, what do you guys think? Would you ever consider recruiting in the USA?